What's going on, Wild Scrubs Runner, coming at you with today's talk of what shoe works best with wide feet runners. Well, today I'm excited to bring you guys the Structure 22. But what kind of Structure 22? Now, I'm not talking about colorway. I am talking about what size you should get. Well, this is Structure 22 from Nike, and it's been around for about a couple of years, and it has great stats. Whenever I ran with it, it felt great, and we'll go over it a little bit more in detail here in a bit. But the size is actually, believe it or not, extra wide. See, you guys can see extra. It says XE as in extra wide. If it's just a regular wide, all it says is an E. And so extra wide is extra E, extra wide. So that is the shoe that I'm actually been running in since I've been injured for about a little over a week and a half. I would say after let me go back. I think back in April 19, that was when I was, so a little bit more than a week and a half, maybe 2.5 going on 3 weeks ish. And I've been running on, well, more specifically, it's the black workhorse shoe. This is the one that I've been wearing in because of the size. This was a 7.5 extra wide, and this is a 7 extra wide. Now, my feet is actually very weird. My feet is measured at 6.5 and almost a double E, which is extra wide. Therefore, it's very hard for me to find shoes that is somewhat relatively light for me. I'm not gonna go looking for shoes that's actually bouncy, because being a wide feet runner, I tend to pronate in the sense that it causes my injuries, such as the posterior tendonitis or posterior tibial tendonitis and Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis. That's why I need a stability shoes, and also do most wide feet runners. However, we get trapped into this marketing hype on getting the carbon shoes or the soft React shoes or the React Infinity. I'm not knocking on them. However, for wide feet runners, we really need somewhat of a shoe that is responsive, but yet not too cushioned, but yet supportive as well. And that is very hard to find. I've only been able to find about 2 shoes that can do that. Mind you, they are both Nike, and one of them is the Structure 22. And I've been a fan of it ever since I started running with it, and it boggles my mind why I did not start earlier. Well, I guess one reason was that I didn't think Nike created extra wide shoes up until maybe 4 to 5 to 6 months ago, when I was looking at the Pegasus 36, and I tried it out in stores, and I knew that it was very narrow for me. But as I was perusing the Nike app, it was actually on sale. So I wanted to see what was the different colors and different type of, I guess just the different colorways, because I like shoes. I'm a sneakers and running shoe fan. So, and all of a sudden I clicked on these black and white workhorse, and at the bar it says regular size, and then wide, and then also extra wide. I was like, I've never seen this in Nike app before. I've always known that Nike only made narrow feet, high arch, or mid to high arch shoes. So I was very surprised at that. But I didn't get the Pegasus 36. Instead, I went with the just the regular narrow because it had actually my school colors. So my U of A school colors. So I went with that, and I'll talk about how I get around with narrow shoes actually. Because sometimes being a running shoe fan as well, I do get caught up in the hype, and so I wanted to grab a couple of pairs even though it's not extra wide. Going back to my size, so I'm a 6.5 extra wide, and so what my actual shoe requirements is actually size 7 extra wide. But like I said, it was difficult for me to get up until I saw these shoes. And in the past, I was just getting injured off and on, off and on, off and on because I would find a narrow shoes that was somewhat kind of met all of my wide feet requirements, but still it was giving me niggles, and that you guys know that niggles or the feeling of slight pain at any part of your body tends to become more severe and eventually give you a full-blown injury. So all my running career I've been just up and down with this kind of injury, starting with my lower back in 2004, and then till now basically. Well, well, that is just a separate video, I guess. Going back to the shoes, we are looking at Structure 22, and the forefoot stack height is 12 millimeters. The heel stack height is 22 millimeters, so that is a 10 millimeter stack height. It is a 9.7 ounce of weight, or 274 grams of weight. And actually, I also was surprised looking at my Nike app whenever I clicked on these guys, the black and whites, is that Galenrupp, the Olympic, Chicago and Boston and Bridgetown competitor who has made a career in running, Galenrupp, the Olympic champion, actually sponsored this. And he not only sponsored it, he actually, before his name started to show up on Structure 22, he was actually not tagged with the Structure 22. He was actually wanting to be tagged, or at least Nike had the idea of tagging him for the Nike Epic React when it first came out 2.5 years ago, I believe. But since 2017, he got injured. And ever since then, when the Structure 22 came out, I started to see his name pop up as the sponsor athlete or the endorsed athlete for these shoes. So, if it's good enough for an Olympic champion or a Chicago Marathon champion or a Boston Marathon Silver medalist, it is very well good enough for me. So, that brings a good point. I first at least noticed him going to Structure 22 after he got injured in 2017, I believe after the Boston Marathon. And therefore, his feet, I'm not sure it's actually I don't think he's a wide foot. I believe he's a mid to high arch and narrow footed runner. Or, I'm sorry, elite runner. But ever since he got injured, he started to, or at least I started to see him being sponsored with Structure 22. And for a small bit, they were marketing that the Epic React was the shoe that he ran in, and he got over 3 or 4 or 500 miles in the Epic Reacts. And then he got injured, and then saw him wearing this. Another athlete that I know that actually has been wearing this while injured, but then after the injury started to wear other shoes again, is one of my alma mater great, Sage Watson. She also runs for the Canadian team as a sprinter, I believe, or a hurdler sprinter, 400 meters. I believe 400-meter hurdler. I'm sorry, I totally butchered that up. But I saw her started to wear this also while she was recovering from her injury. Therefore, if and she is also an Olympian as well for the 400-meter hurdles. Therefore, if it's good enough for Olympic athletes, it's going to be good enough for me, especially if they have the extra wide sizing, which what we wide-footed runners need. Therefore, let me go and talk about how the feel is. So this is very very not basic, but it's not like an Alphafly or next percent tempo or anything like that. It is very much the Pegasus version of a stability shoe. So this is considered a stability shoe. This was actually the shoes. These shoes were actually the shoes that the Nike Infinity React tested against or made a study against, saying if the Infinity React is preventing injuries, we will measure it against our best Nike stability shoes, and this was it. It was the Structure 22, and they found that the Infinity React was 50% less likely that you'll get injured. And it was a study by a third party organization from British Columbia. We can talk about the Epic Reacts here in a bit, actually in the next couple of videos, but I'm focusing more on Structure 22. Okay, so this, if you ever ran with the Pegasus 36 as a narrow-footed person, it actually feels like that for a wide-footed person. It has a air zoom unit, I believe in the middle. As you can see, it has the familiar Pegasus type of sole with the middle slit down the middle like you would see in the Vomero 14s. The upper is quite somewhat breathable, but I am the worst judge for uppers and ventilation, because in every shoes that I've ran in, I don't I haven't noticed one way or another if it's breathable or not. So I apologize about that. It has a fly wire netting here for secure fit. It also has an extra eyelet for more secure fit. Okay, which I actually use. And it has this cool heel counter right here. Even though it looks awesome like a transformer or something like that, it's actually, it has a purpose. It's the heel counter. It's to make you stable at your heel all the way to your front. And with the wide forefoot, it also gives you that stability as well. And these side railings right here allows you to push off of your outer foot or outer feet to also then bring you back in the middle. So this is the Structure 22 from Nike, and for best for stability running, it will reduce your pronation, and best for wide feet runners like myself. I've used it after I got injured. I am slowly recovering from my injuries, and I feel like for the first time since 2004, I think I'm slowly recovering from a pain-free running experience. And that just goes to show how much technology has advanced. I used to run in non-technological shoes. I believe the best shoes that I ran with was the Gel Cayano 9s. I love those. I had, I believe, 7 pairs of those because for the first two I paid full price, and then the rest of the five I actually got it on sale because they were phasing it out. And I believe I like that shoe because I think that was also a stability shoe, and it had the widest forefoot for me back at that day, back 2003 2004 season. Well, all the way up, I guess, till 2005 2006, which which were the years that my injuries really got bad. Then I was running injured ever since because I never looked on recovering because I was young, I was dumb, and I thought that all runners are supposed to be hurt. So, no. If any part of your body hurts or in pain or anything like that, it is not normal. Your calf muscle, your thighs, your hamstrings should all feel like if you are pressing on your forearm or, well, maybe not your bicep, but your forearm, because these are muscles just as much as your glutes are muscles, just as much as your hamstrings are muscles, just as much as your thighs are muscles, just as your calves are muscles. It should feel like this. This is the state of pain or no pain that you should be experiencing in all of those areas. And if you do, please see a professional, get diagnosed, and see what problems you may have and address it early. Addressing it early will give you a longevity from running, a longevity from working out, doing CrossFit, rowing, biking, swimming, hiking, ultra running, and anything is that requires such high demand of reuse and repetitive and just high impact type of activities. So, well, I guess that is all for me. If you guys have a moment, hit that subscribe button. Comment below if you guys have any questions or if you guys want me to talk about anything, and like that video. And like I said again, until next time, thank you so much. And that's Wild Scrubs Runner signing out. Thank you guys.